I didn't punch you. I was hitting you. This is not a story of a victim and a villain. This is not a Me Too parable or a male revenge fantasy. This is a case study in contamination. A forensic dissection of what happens when two highly traumatized, substance-dependent personalities lock into a resonance cascade of mutual destruction. The world watched the trial of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard expecting a clear binary, abuser and survivor. What the evidence actually revealed was a mutual toxic entanglement, a psychological standoff where the line between aggressor and reactive victim dissolved completely. Why does psychology struggle to classify relationships where both partners draw blood? And more importantly, if you are reacting to abuse, at what exact second do you become the abuser? The timeline is brief but volatile. 2011, filming The Rum Diary. 2015, marriage. 2016, Heard files for divorce and obtains a temporary restraining order, alleging physical assault. Depp denies it. The settlement is signed in 2017, but the war does not end. In 2018, Heard writes an op-ed for the Washington Post. She does not name Depp, but the implication is a spear aimed at his chest. Depp loses the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. He loses Fantastic Beasts. He is, by every metric of Hollywood, canceled. By 2022, Depp sues Heard for defamation in Virginia. Heard countersues. For 6 weeks, the world becomes a jury. And for the first time, the raw, unedited audio recordings of their private arguments are played for a global audience. The public chose sides instantly, but the data suggests a more disturbing truth. In forensic psychology, when we see two people bleeding from the same wound, we have to stop asking who started it and start asking why can't either of them stop. To understand this case, you must discard the binary of domestic violence. Standard intimate partner violence usually follows a power dynamic, a high-control perpetrator and a low-power victim. But the DSM-5 and forensic literature recognize a rarer, dirtier phenomenon. It is called reactive abuse. This occurs when a victim, pushed past their psychological breaking point, employs the same tactics as their abuser: verbal cruelty, physical aggression, gaslighting to survive the moment. Reactive abuse is self-defense disguised as violence. But here is the dark turn. When both partners believe they are the victim, reactive abuse accelerates into what experts call a mutual toxic entanglement. Neither is the primary aggressor. Both are triggers. The Depp Heard recordings are the Rosetta Stone for this dynamic. Because in a standard abuse case, you hear fear and dominance. In these tapes, you hear competition. Two people fighting not to win the argument, but to claim the moral high ground of victimhood. When both partners are holding a camera, who gets to decide which punch was thrown in self-defense? Let us begin with the evidence that dismantled Heard's public narrative of pure victimhood: the audio recordings. Specifically, the September 8th, 2015 argument. Audio clip 1. Heard says, "I can't promise you that I won't get physical again. I get very angry. I lose it." In a clinical setting, this is called an admission of perpetration. But the more damning exchange occurs when Depp accuses her of starting a physical fight. Audio clip 2. Depp says, "You punched me." Heard says, "I did not punch you. I was hitting you. I was not punching you. You get a fucking bruise when you get punched. You don't get a bruise when you get hit." Forensic linguists flagged this immediately. The semantic distinction between punching and hitting is a classic dissociation tactic. Heard is not denying the act of violence. She is downgrading the category of violence to minimize culpability. Heard's psychological pattern follows a 3-step cycle. Step 1, provocation. Verbal jabs designed to destabilize Depp, often referencing his childhood trauma or substance abuse. Step 2, physical escalation. Throwing a can of mineral spirits, slamming a cabinet door on his head, or striking him. Step 3. The victim narrative. When Depp retreats or reacts, Heard records him or calls security, framing herself as the survivor. But here is the variable the public ignored. According to Depp's former security team, after these incidents, it was usually Depp who locked himself in a room to escape. That is not the behavior of a primary aggressor. It is the behavior of a man in a trap he helped build. But if heard through punches, Depp through words. Specifically, words that reveal a sadistic capacity for psychological violence that his fans prefer to ignore. Text message from Depp to Paul Bettany. Quote, "Let's drown her before we burn her. I will fuck her burnt corpse afterwards to make sure she is dead." This is not hyperbole. This is a documented text message sent by Depp to his friend, actor Paul Bettany. While Depp's legal team argued this was dark humor referencing Monty Python and the Libertine, forensic psychologists note a different marker. Ideation of violence, writing about burning a spouse alive and desecrating their body, even as a joke, satisfies a psychological urge to externalize rage. It is the verbal equivalent of holding a knife to a photograph. Another text message from Depp to Paul Bettany. Quote, "I'm going to take my meds, and when I get there, I'm going to inflict the same amount of physical damage she did to me." She's begging for total global humiliation. Notice the shift. Depp explicitly states his intention, retribution, and then the clincher, total global humiliation. This was written 3 years before the trial. It suggests a long-term strategy of reputation annihilation, a classic narcissistic injury response. The security footage from March 2016 shows Depp screaming, slamming cabinets, and throwing a wine bottle across a kitchen. But watch Heard's reaction closely. She does not run. She pulls out her phone to film him. This is the pivot point. Depp's pattern is passive aggression boiling into explosive, property-destroying rage. He rarely strikes her directly in the evidence, but he destroys environments. He writes death threats. He isolates and then smears. In the dark psychology lexicon, Depp is the provoked avenger, a role that requires the provocation to justify the vengeance. Why did this case break the internet? Because it exposed a blind spot in modern domestic violence discourse. The single perpetrator bias. Most domestic violence curricula teach the Duluth Model, which presumes male power and control over female victims. But the CDC's 2017 National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Survey found that over a 12-month period, the rates of severe physical violence, kicking, biting, hitting with a fist, were nearly equal. 5.4% of men and 5.9% of women reported perpetration. The Depp Heard case is the statistical outlier that proves the rule. Both use gaslighting. Heard telling Depp you are not a victim, you are a man, to invalidate his fear. Depp telling Heard she is crazy and imagining things to destabilize her memory. Both use triangulation. Heard bringing her sister and friends into hotel rooms to witness arguments. Depp leaking stories to the press through his lawyers. And both engaged in smear campaigns, the very definition of defamation. But the darkest finding, the concept of a lost exit. In healthy relationships, conflict de-escalates. In mutual toxic entanglement, conflict regulates. The fight becomes the connection. Notice in the trial, Depp smiled when Heard was cross-examined. Heard looked relieved when Depp took the stand. For them, the courtroom was just another arena. When the fight is the only form of intimacy you have left, peace feels like abandonment. The jury found for Depp on all 3 defamation counts. Heard won one of her 3 counterclaims. But if you think the verdict was the point, you missed the pathology. This case teaches us 3 clinical truths about toxic relationships. 1. Reactive abuse is real. You could be a victim at 9 p.m. and an aggressor by 9:05 p.m. 2. Trauma bonds often look like love. Heard and Depp described each other as soulmates in the same sentences they described black eyes. 3. Recording your partner's breakdown while ignoring your own is not evidence of innocence. It is evidence of performance. The warning signs you cannot ignore. When your arguments have audiences. When you save text messages as ammunition instead of closure. And when the thought of them losing makes you happier than the thought of yourself winning. Sometimes, the victim becomes the villain, and the villain believes they are the victim. The only difference in a mutual toxic entanglement is who pressed record first. Have you ever witnessed mutual manipulation in a relationship? Comment below.